Alright guys, well I'm back today with some of the nicest AK furniture I've ever had out to the channel. This is the brand new Midwest Industries Alpha Series AK furniture, and it's some of the toughest, most versatile, and really the best fit and finish AK furniture I've seen on an AK-47. They sent this out to the channel for us to try, so it was a great opportunity to see it in a completed rifle form. They had it pre-assembled on this Romanian Wasser 10. Now, functionally down at the range, we are going to talk about how all of these accessories performed, but I also want to give you detailed specs and features of each of these, but there's no way I can cover every single possible spec and feature without making this an hour-long video. So one of the best things to do is head over to Midwest Industries and check out all of the info. And since they're so versatile and modular, especially some of the interfaces with the top rail covers, top sighting mount systems, especially with that newer M-LOK rail system, there's really a wide variety of options to really fit your needs perfectly no matter what you're doing. This is going to be broken up into three main sections. The first is going to be their Alpha Series M-LOK handguard that measures out at 10 inches. The next major component for this anyways is the top hinged cover that bolts into the handguard itself, making it a rock solid mounting system. Now this can easily be replaced with the Alpha Series T2 mount or the Alpha Series rail mount, allowing you to use a standard top cover that hovers over and just utilizing the mount itself. It's a pretty slick option. And then one that's really going to interest people, in my opinion, is the Alpha Series folding or fixed beam stock, depending on the configuration you select on their website. This particular version has the folding mechanism, adjustable cheek comb height, and an adjustable length of pull, making it one of the best AK pick rail stocks I've seen. Especially with a lot of the SBRs getting approved because of the pistol brace transfer, I've been getting questions in person and on the channel, what is the best pick rail stock that I need to get to update my firearm after my SBR stamp clears? Now that is going to be, in my opinion anyways, after trying the Alpha Series, it's going to be the Alpha Series. There's more expensive stocks on the market and there's cheaper stocks on the market, but this one just really fills a niche right around the $240 to $260 price point, depending on the configuration you select. Again, there's fixed beam stocks and then there's folding stocks, and I believe the MSRP on the folding stock is right around $289, but again, you can shop around and find it different places. Now, the cool thing about this furniture setup is it's probably some of the toughest and nicest finished I've seen, and because of recent importation restrictions on other AK furniture, this is probably one of the best options you can get for some incredibly solid stuff. But let's start at the front and work our way to the back, and the first thing I want to discuss is the new Alpha Series M-LOK handguard. So it measures 10 inches, and it has a internally a specialty designed internal heat shield, and the heat shield does incredibly well. Before I realized and kind of looked up the specs and features, I took this for a quick range trip. And after dumping a couple mags to it, I was incredibly shocked at how well this mitigated heat and kept the heat away from the user's hand. I kept thinking I was going to burn myself or the handguard was going to heat up as quickly as I was shooting, just because it was too fun to keep shooting this AK down at the range. But the heat shield, especially with this larger aluminum rail system, really dissipated the heat nicely, and it worked out great. Now, the cool thing is, even though this is a large aluminum rail, it's made out of 6061 T6 aluminum, and the other cool thing is it's got a lot of lightning cuts throughout, yet it's insanely rigid. This only weighs 11.4 ounces, so it doesn't add a ton of weight to your rifle, but it adds a lot of modularity and rigidity, especially with all the M-LOK slots and pick rail slots at the top for different types of mounting systems. Now, I will be mounting different things to this in the future, but I wanted to do an initial review just kind of as it comes out of the box without adding a ton of stuff to it, to just see how it performs in its current configuration. And it was a very comfortable MOE, or not MOE, an M-LOK rail system right here. So it felt good in your hand. I definitely see that you could add a lot of different lighting configurations, laser configurations, as well as optics and grip configurations on here because of the modularity of this. You have the M-LOK slots up here. It kind of tapers in and tapers down. So if you have 45-degree offset mounts, you can put them in there and they kind of tuck in to keep lights tucked up nicely. They also have some here and then located at the bottom. The other cool thing is this really locks up into the receiver solid, kind of going in there and then utilizing some set screws. So this this is a rock solid system that you can start putting different types of laser, IR laser aiming devices, or just traditional green laser aiming devices on there, and really rely on them to hold a reasonable zero, especially with the capabilities of an AK-47 at distance. This is going to really outperform the AK, I think, when it comes to the mounting solutions and accuracy. So this is a great option to throw onto the front of your AK, regardless if you get anything else. And that's the other cool thing. You can use some of these systems independently of each other, and then some systems do rely on each other, like this folding and hinged top cover. So this AK Alpha Series rail top cover is pretty cool because it provides an accurate return to zero. A lot of times when you're talking about top covers with pick rails on an AK, you're going to lose zero, but this one is pretty slick because it locks up rock solid at the back. Almost no wobble or play to this, and it's got 4 different mounting points. So when you're going through, this piece right here is actually part of that hinged top cover. And you can see how it reaches over, grasps onto the rail system, which is probably one of the most secure spots on this rifle right now. It comes up in a 2-piece design and then bolts into the hinged top cover. At this point, you can attach whatever optic you want, and you can see there's like no rattle or play in this whatsoever. You simply push this in and it hinges up to access your internals, and then you can snap it back down. Now, I found that that is incredibly tight and slightly difficult to do, but that is perfect. It's rock solid, holding zero, and I don't really hinge this up too much. If you want to get it off, I found that a quick tap with a rubber mallet on this piece right here, just a quick pop, loosens that up. You open it up, you can work on whatever you need to work on, clean and oil it, smack it back down with the traditional top cover slap, and since it's hinged at the front, it's probably one of the easiest ones to close because you don't have to fumble with locking it in up at the front. You can just simply hinge it down and slap it shut. Now, I love the integration of this, and it's a seamless transition. It also doesn't add any width when you add that onto the rail system because you can see the rail system itself cuts and tapers in, specifically designed for this piece. Now, the other cool thing I want to show you guys is actually the Alpha Series T2 mount. So this one integrates in the exact same spot. So you can see this profile is this profile right here. But where the hinge rail system would be, you actually have a flat surface allowing you to put a T2 mount. So a lot of your holosuns, your aim points are going to utilize that mounting system, and that's going to hover over your traditional top cover. Or you can use the pick rail version of the exact same thing, allowing you to clamp on something like this, the holosun with the base already attached to it. So depending on the height you want to run and the different optics configurations, it's an almost endless supply of possibilities that you can do with the optics mounting solution. Now, me personally, I like this top cover. It is going to add a little bit more weight than those other solutions, and it's made out of solid aluminum. But I feel like it's worth it. When you pick up the AK-47, it's already a heavier gun. You are adding weight in the rail system with this extra mounts and the top cover. So even a lot of, if these components are lightweight by design in their nature, they're still a little bit more than like polymer or wood handguards, so you're simply going to add weight to your rifle. Now, I like that on an AK-47, especially with a nice break on the front, because then it just becomes one of the fastest shooting platforms you can get. It's just smooth, it works, and it also just absorbs a lot of that recoil impulse because of the weight of the rifle. So I've kind of fallen in love with the weight of this rifle, although it is going to be heavier than your traditional AK-47 with like wood or polymer furniture, so something to consider. Now, the interface with this Romanian Wasser 10 was great. I mean, there's no issues with fit and finish or lockup or functionality, anything like that, so it all worked out great. Now I want to talk about this stock right here, because that, in my opinion, is something that a lot of guys are going to be grabbing independently of the other furniture on this setup, because a lot of platforms utilize this pick rail in the back, and this stock doesn't even have to be for an AK. It's anything that has a pick rail on the back, especially with the adjustable cheek height of this piece and the adjustable nature of the stock. It actually lends itself to a wide variety of situations. Now, PSA has just released the Jackal series, and a lot of those Jackals that came out as pistols, if you decide to make them SBRs, you can attach this right to the back of a pick rail system. There's also a lot of 22s on the market that use a pick rail system in the back, and a few other products like some of the FM products that use a piston system or an internal system to keep all of the spring action inside the upper receiver itself on an AR platform, allowing you to then run a pick rail on the back of your traditional AR and put put this there too. Now, I love the fact that this thing locks up rock solid. There was almost no play. Now, right out of the box, it was incredibly difficult to pull this up and fold it, but now you can see I can do it one-handed. So it loosened up just a little bit. And not the stock loosening up, just the interface loosened up. So it folds over nicely, and it doesn't really lock into place with a locking system that you have to depress a button to open. It more goes into a detent style. So it's locked up fairly solid, and then all you do is pull it out of that detent, and you can see it locks up rock solid. It also has the push button adjustment located on the side, so you can adjust the length of pull fairly easily. And again, right out of the box, this was a little bit stiff, but it was because the tight tolerances in the machining. Midwest Industries is probably one of my favorite companies making rail systems, stock systems, and a wide variety of other accessories. Here lately, I've been actually putting a lot of the pick rail Midwest Industries stocks on a lot of different platforms where I don't want to spend a ton of money. This also has a nice kind of plastic rubberized butt pad so it doesn't slide off, and then you can adjust the cheek height in different heights on here by removing these screws and putting it up. Now, unfortunately, because of YouTube's policies, I can't show any installation of any accessories, but everything seems to be locking up with the rifle rock solid with no issues whatsoever. So I know this is a little bit longer video, but I wanted to describe all of the parts and components in detail. And like I said, I could spend hours on these parts because there are so many subtle nuances and changes and differences between this and a standard traditional furniture set, but this has blown me out of the water when it comes to quality and just the overall fit and finish and functionality down at the range. Now, one thing I do want to say, these are not the cheapest setups in the world, but by no means are they the most expensive. It's a truly professional tier grade of quality components when it comes to the handguard, the top cover, and the stock, but you're not going to completely break the bank. I feel like these, again, you can find cheaper items, but they're going to be nowhere near as good. Now, especially with some more recent furniture having importation restrictions on it, this is a solid option for a good price. It's going to do great on your AK-47 down at the range. So I hope you guys liked the video. You can check out all of the information in the description below, and definitely check out Midwest Industries. Also want to give a huge shout out to these guys again for sending it over to the try. As soon as I saw it, I knew I had to get my hands on this stuff because it looked good, and it is good in person. Just blow me away at the quality. I also have a campsite page with a ton of information and info on deals. I also have a Patreon page, which is behind a $1 paywall that allows you access to daily deals as well. And I also have an Instagram page where you can see sneak peeks and kind of see something like this before it hits YouTube. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.